Alright, so we're sitting in the Escalade staring at the check engine light one more time, because there's always something that goes on with this vehicle and the emissions or something crazy. So got my scanner on and we can see this time we have a EVAP gross leak detected. Uh-oh. The fuel tank must have fell off of it this time or something. Who knows? We got 3 of them. The second one is a cruise control. I don't use cruise control, so I doubt that's throwing the code. And then the third one is a gross leak detected on that. So we got a gross leak on our emission system on the Escalade. And so now we got to have a look and see. But it's a little bit different than the other one where it specifically told me it was the canister vent valve. So I was able to replace that. But for this one, I'm not real sure where it is. Could be anywhere in the system. Could be that vent valve again. Could be a purge valve. Could be a rotten hose. Who knows? So what we got to do this time is we're going to set up and make us a little smoke machine that can put some smoke into the system and see if we can detect where this leak is coming from. And you can see I filled up the tank. So got plenty of fuel. And that way it'll minimize how much air is inside or how much vapor is inside, so we can smoke this thing and see if we can find a leak. So we'll get set up on the bench and we're going to make us a smoke checker real quick. Alright, so to make a little smoke machine, what we're going to do is use just a plastic container, a dog food treat thing, and I got a cotton shirt that I kind of got balled up. And I'm going to put that cotton shirt down in there. Leave a little pocket in the middle. What we're going to do is saturate that with some baby oil so it'll smoke, and then put a soldering iron down in there so it touches into the cotton shirt with the baby oil. Seal it all up and then plug it in and see if it'll smoke. But for the putting it into the fuel tank where you fill up with fuel, I'm going to use just a sponge and a little piece of sponge, tape it up so it'll seal up, and then put some hose right through the middle of it, and then we ought to be able to blow or smoke into the system. And like I say, I put almost a full tank of gas in it so it minimizes how much vapor is in there, and we ought to be able to put the smoke through there and see if we can figure out where it's leaking. And I hope it's not that canister vent valve, because I'm going to be really mad and going to hear from me if I find out that that thing's gone bad in only about 8 months. So let's get set up here. So what we want to do is put a hole in the middle of this guy right here so we can put this in. So we get the drill and a step bit. And it looks like I got to go all the way through, so we'll just go to the center of it and we're going to drill that out. Well, that didn't work. I broke my lid, so I got to get me another lid. Let's try that again. We'll get another lid. There we go. I'll just drill me a hole in there. What I got to do is get it such that it's big enough for that to go in there and seal that off. And it looks like the end of it is just a little too big to fit in there. We might be able to get it. Almost. So the edges of that going to have to come off. So let me get a pair of pliers and snip a little more off. Now I'll be able to get it in there. Alright, so we need to feed this up through the bottom. Through our little hole right there. And we're going to feed that all the way up. And push that little guy onto our lid. So now when we put it down in there, we can seal it up and it'll push down into cotton. So there we go. So now let's put some baby oil in there and plug it in and see if it starts to make some smoke. Let's plug it in and see if it starts smoking while we're doing the rest. We'll see what it does once it starts heating up. So now we just got to have a way to get air into it and a way to get air out of it. So got me some hose And what I'm going to do is drill a little hole, just push it down in there. And we're going to see if we can put some air into it. There we go. So there's our air inlet. Now we just got to do the same for an outlet. Alright, so as we can see, it is starting to smoke a little bit. So if we watch the end of our pipe there, if I put some air in, we get smoke out. So that works pretty good. Looks like I'm getting a little bit of smoke coming out of the top of my soldering iron when I blow it. So I'm going to have to tape off that soldering iron to get it to seal up. But that's okay. So what I'm going to do is actually use my air compressor and this little stinger right here, and I'm going to put that up inside the pipe and zip tie this down, and then turn my air compressor down real low to where it's just flowing a little bit of air. And then what I can do is just leave that on and go around the vehicle looking for the smoke. There we go. So now you can see the smoke coming out. Alright, so we got our smoke guy made. So let's head over to the car, and we're going to put this on the tube, stand it all up, and then we're going to look for our leak. Alright, so next up we got to hook our smoke machine up to the vehicle, so that's where the sponge comes in. So I'm just going to get this sponge a little rounder, take the corners off of it. There we go. So now we got a round sponge, so I'm just going to poke a hole right in the middle of it and stick my pipe in there. So that ought to be sealed up pretty good. Let's go get our air compressor turned on and the regulator down, and we'll be back. Alright, so we got our air line hooked up right here, and we got it set on next to nothing setting. So when I hold my finger on it, you can hear it build up. So it's just barely pumping air. So let's hook that up. So all we got to do is plug in our smoke machine, and we'll start making some smoke. And then we can run around the vehicle and look to see if we can figure out with a flashlight where the smoke's coming from. So it might be underneath the vehicle, it might be at the hood. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood while this thing's starting to make smoke, and then we can go look to see if we can figure out where our smoke may be going. So we'll watch that for a second while I run around, and we'll see when it starts building up smoke. Alright, so we are making smoke now. Yeah, so you can see that we are smoking pretty good. Alright, let's go cruising around the car and see if we can find our leak once we let this thing fill up with smoke a little bit. And you can see it's smoking a little out of here, but there's a lot of it going down inside of there, so we're in pretty good shape. So if we run up here to the front and look, I don't smell anything up here. The baby oil's got a funny smell. And I don't see anything leaking up on this side, up near the purge valve. So all that looks fine. So it may be at the back of the vehicle. So let's crawl underneath the back of the vehicle and see if we see any smoke. Up here is the valve, and I can smell it back here, but I don't see anything going on back here on that valve. If I look, I don't see anything, but I can sure smell it back here. Alright, well, I don't see any smoke coming out above the tank. That's a good thing. Alright, so to test the canister vent valve, it's actually normally open, and so it would let it vent all of the time. But what I need to do is energize the little solenoid in there and get the thing to close up so I can check it for the smoke. So what I did is I connected up a battery charger down here up to the connector that goes to the vent valve. And when I energize it, then I'll be able to check for smoke, and if I still see smoke coming out the end of it, then I'm going to know that the little valve has gone bad. So let's get this set up, and then we'll swing up there and have a look-see at the snorkel for the vent valve and see if we got any smoke once we energize this thing. Alright, so we can't leave it plugged in too long, but we'll plug it up real quick and then we'll check and see if any smoke's still coming out. So let's plug her in and then we'll swing up here and see what we see. There we go. So let's look here and see if we see any smoke up in the vent area. So if we look in there, oh yeah, I can see something moving on the camera there. You can see it right up in this area. So let me unclip that and get a little closer look at it. You can see there's smoke coming out of him. And so that's the vent for the canister back here. So it looks like my problem is that my canister vent valve has gone bad again, because you can see those whispers of smoke coming out of that vent valve right there. Yep, I believe that's what it is. You can see I tipped it down so we could see where the smoke's coming from. And so you can see it's actually, coming out of those little vent pieces. So it is definitely our canister vent valve for the back here. So unlimited lifetime on it, and we'll get us another one of these. Alright, so we made it over to the store this morning and got us a new canister vent valve. And so it's kind of funny, in the packaging right here it says this is an upgraded version. And I think the one I got before about a year and a half ago was the upgraded version too. So the non-upgraded version must only last about 6 months, because this one only went about a year and a half. But we'll see. Maybe I just got it done. Alright, so let's get this thing installed and see if this fixes our problem. And if you want to see the install, how to put one on here, there's actually another video on the channel where I had another fault. It was actually the solenoid went bad. This time I guess it's the valve that's bad. But you can look at it on the channel. I'll put a link at the end of this video and a little card that pops up here in just a minute. And then you can go over there to see how to take this guy off. Well, alrighty, we'll get this put on and then we'll fire the car up, clear the codes, and see if that fixed our problem. Alright, so we are ready to reset. So let's read our codes one more time and just make sure that still showing the codes. So we can zoom down here. So we still got our EVAP code and our crazy cruise control, and then the EVAP pending. So let's back out and we're gonna clear the codes. So we hit the clear the trouble codes. It says, do you want to clear? Select yes. There we go. So our codes are cleared. So now let's go back and read trouble codes. And it says no trouble codes found. Alright, so let's back up. Okay. And now let's fire it up and see. So let me turn it back off and turn it back on. And there we go. So our check engine light is off. Now let's just see if it's pending anything. Let's go back over here to the engine control module. Read trouble codes, and we have no codes right now, so that is good. So now let's go over to the data and display the data, and we're going to look at the EVAP data. Oops, not too far. EVAP data. We got to go select which ones we want to find. So we're going to go look at Scroll, scroll, scroll. So EVAP purge, solenoid, that's not us. We want the EVAP vent solenoid, so let's select that one. And EVAP circuit status, let's select that one. Alright, so we hit escape. And it's telling us that right now it is venting. And the EVAP circuit status is incomplete. So it's going to have to check for a little bit. So we'll let it check and then come back and make sure that everything cleared out. Alright, we'll be back here in just a little bit. Alright, so we went for a little 15-minute test ride and no more check engine light. So let's just go down here to the scanner and check it one more time. So we're gonna read our trouble codes now that we've gone our little journey. And we can see we still have that cruise control brake switch circuit. I don't know what that deal is. And then the second one is cruise control brake switch A circuit high. So I'll have to look at that, but that doesn't trip an engine code. So that's just something to do with the cruise control. Might have a sticky button or might have something going on. But anyway, there we go. So it turned out it was just the canister vent valve one more time. And so we had to change it back out again. I kept my receipt because it's got a limited lifetime warranty. So if it does it again, I'll just gotta pop the thing back off there and do it again. Well, alrighty. Well, thanks for watching.